IG will be on our blue side, and they've already taken away Canyon's most played champion of all time, albeit that's only a year, in the Lee Sin, following it up with the Renekton, as the Pantheon, of course, returns to his seat on the bench.
Yeah, Pantheon 100% pick ban, as we saw during the countdown.
Not a lot of pick.
So far.
Not a lot of pick.
Yeah, mostly in the ban side. Yeah.
Just one pick, I think, so far, and this is interesting from Damwon Gaming, just because the Qiyana is one of those champions that I feel like doesn't really fit in the meta, but has such an oppressive and extreme early game, and really does take over in that 10 to 15 minute mark as the ultimate comes online, and just such a cost-efficient build.
Certainly the case, and also LPL being one of the regions that did actually like Qiyana jungle. When you're looking at Summer Split, some of the regions were focused more on that mid lane Qiyana, but being that it is a flex pick for these LPL teams, it does raise in priority during the draft.
And also, it's a flex pick for Damwon Gaming as well. They've showed us already in the play-ins that they're happy to give Canyon that champion. I admit it wasn't a victory. I believe it was in their match against Low-Key, the only loss that they actually had. However, still able to pick that one up, as the last ban will be Rookie's LeBlanc. Shout out to one of the best LeBlanc players of all time, the Syndra, to be the last one there on IG's side. His first pick now available for the Shy, considering the Gragas.
The ultimate flex is just to blind flick the Vladimir right now into Nugger. And you just go Klepto into...
Oh, you reckon he goes Klepto too? Because we did see that while the Shy picked it up, he did go maybe a little bit more.
Probably wouldn't, but that would be hilarious.
Of the team fight rune. I think that, and we will have this conversation during game, but I think people really do sleep on the strength of Kleptomancy as a rune in the laning phase. It's just pure sustain stats most of the time when you are able to grab those health potions. So whilst I do agree that it does scale well with gold, more gold equals more items equals more damage most of the time, I do think that it also helps out the laning phase significantly more than maybe people give it credit for.
I agree.
Well, the Talia has been locked in here, gentlemen, so no opportunity to mix that with the Renekton, which I think a lot of people are going to be happy about. I feel like that combo's been botched a little bit so far here at Worlds as we move back over to IG's side.
Now, what I wouldn't be surprised to see is if IG does not actually grab up the Nautilus, you can go Nautilus, Kai'Sa bot lane, and the Nautilus also sets up very well for the Talia. So I think that would be a pretty nice third pick here from Damwon, and I'm going to be interested to see if IG feels pressured whatsoever to take that away as a result.
Yeah, and I also want to see whether that's going to be Showmaker's Talia, because Talia is a pick that in the LCK wasn't always the jungle role, and did see a little bit more of that mid lane play as well. So I think there's certainly flexibility still in this Damwon's draft. And this is just how IG generally like to approach something. JackeyLove and Baolan, they're going to be a little bit isolated, a little bit on that island. So they don't really prioritize necessarily those big picks. JackeyLove is very much an AD carry that will come online as the game progresses, but you need to be able to secure Rookie and the Shy those priority picks.
And also, JackeyLove is on the champion that he did so well on in the regional gauntlet. The Ezreal has been locked away for him. Of course, no stranger to any LCK team, but Damwon was one of our teams that didn't pick very much Ezreal. They are this time, though, going to pick away the Kayle. Everyone heard about the Klepto Kayle from the Shy on Twitter, on Reddit, on things like that, but Nogari's been doing this since she first got reworked.
And the thing is, we have seen a lot of Kayle in the mid lane, and I love to watch Tracking the Pros. Tracking the Pros as I fall asleep at night is one of my favorite activities at the moment. I've been watching Rookie play Kayle, and let me tell you, based on his solo queue experience, I don't think he thinks Kayle's very good, because he's got a lot of multiple death, 0 games on the champion at the moment. So, maybe just let that one go through with your IG and see whether Rookie has confidence against the pick now.
I will say sometimes I see some pros doing some, we'll call it limit testing when they are playing in solo queue these days. I watched Showmaker all in level 1 on Kayle the other day, and it didn't go too well for him, but not expecting that here. And we have to remember that Kayle, is a three-way flex. We've already seen it brought out in the bot lane. Certainly can go to Nuguri, could go to Showmaker as well. And this is one of the kind of powerful points about this pick, is that it's actually pretty hard to punish these days. Ever since, this kind of new Kayle that has been updated, you go AP, Q max for lane, you are able to survive a lot of these lanes, even if you are kind of getting counterpicked.
This is once again a classic Damwon draft. You can see the health bars aren't exactly going to be very full most of the time. Definitely some squishy champions here, but a lot of execution-heavy play. And the Jace locked in could be going into any lane.
And I'm just worried about the lack of engage options right now, Atlas, because Nautilus has just been stolen away in this draft.
Welcome to Papa Smithy's life this whole year, Spawn.
It's very typical to partner that Kai'Sa up with the Nautilus just because of how the passives overlap. So I think this is not a worrying sign for Damwon. As you said, they're very experienced playing these kinds of comps, but this is going to be a very elusive IG comp to get on top of.
Well, that's a solo lane Ezreal or Lucian now for IG. Certainly things up in the air for these guys.
Yeah, definitely expecting it to be a solo lane Lucian. Lucian solo lane into Kayle is actually one of the matchups that can punish it most, especially if Showmaker were to take this. You can actually go ignite Lucian and really get aggressive here. And this is looking like Poppy support here for Nuclear. I really do like this. Look at all the dashes. Every single champion pretty much here has something, you know, that can get interrupted by that heroic presence, and I do think it's quite intelligent as a pick. Yes, it doesn't have a strong laning phase, but it's going to be absolutely dominant in the teamfight stage.
And in theory, I think that makes sense, right? The ability to dive in there and be able to interrupt the dash. However, how do you dive in on top of what is right now the IG lineup if you are solo support Poppy? Like, that just doesn't sound like the recipe for victory. So what I'm very curious in is the ability to separate and split up a team fight. You know, that ultimate that comes out from Poppy, and then the skirmish potential of, you know, the 2v2 and 3v3 that is currently there from the down one lineup.
And that's why I think for the most part, we actually are going to see the Poppy used as disengage, right? You go to the side lanes, you put your Jace and your Kayle in a side lane, you have Taliyah who can respond and help out in either of the side lanes, and you have Poppy there as this defensive tool to help enable Taliyah and Kai'Sa to safely clear the waves. Because if you're diving into this Poppy, you can knock someone out with the ultimate, you can deny that dive with your W, and it seems like a pretty intelligent comp, but we know IG are monsters in the early game and certainly could run them over.
I know it all makes sense, all of your analysis, but all I see is the fact that Taliyah can set up a wall and Poppy can ram people into it. That's all I can see as we get into game number 1 of the day. And here we are onto the Rift for game number 1. Invictus Gaming versus Damwon Gaming. Damwon may have stole the coach, but are they going to be able to steal a win over IG on the first time of asking?
And it's games like this why I love Worlds. You know, SKT versus RNG, IG versus Damwon, similar styles clashing from regions that you wouldn't necessarily get to play against each other. And I think that people are hoping for the return of form of the Shy and Rookie, because if that has finally been completed, these solo lanes are certainly where we should be looking in the early game.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you talk to a lot of these pros, Rookie and the Shy are the stuff of nightmares. You know, these are guys that when you talk to people who played against them in scrims and on stage, it just felt like they were unbeatable. It didn't matter what you did. It didn't matter how much help you got. They were going to win at the end of the day. And that kind of pressure that a player can output really does kind of affect the mental, I think, of their opponents.
Also, this is the first Poppy of Worlds, another unique pick for our World Championship. I believe after play-ins, it was around 80-something unique champions already picked up, and we're continuing to build that list.
One thing worth noting is it's not actually the Ignite for the Lucian, so it did go mid lane into the Kayle, as I was kind of expecting here. Great early game matchup. I would have preferred the Ignite simply because it does give you that additional kill pressure, but the heal is certainly going to give more safety up against both the Taliyah and this Kayle, who are not going to have any sort of healing debuff to negate that whatsoever. And
this is a great start from Damwon, because Taliyah has one of the best level 1s in the game. You walk in with a Q volley spam, and there's not really all that much you can do about it. Meanwhile, because Nuclear and Beryl have been able to start in lane, they're going to get the shove. So this is a really risky invade for Lian to be able to go for, already asking the question of that rookie jungler from IG.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Lian, he was actually already spotted out, you know, on this ward. You know, he walked right by this on the minimap. So, you know, spent a little bit of time looking for an opportunity for a level 2 gank. That was not there. And as a result, Kenyan knows, all right, well, I can actually finish the Wolves. I can full clear now this side of the map and get out of that scot-free. So early advantage due to that vision goes over to Damwon.
Yeah, could possibly deny that camp as well, but I believe didn't. Also left Agatha available. You can see pings there onto the Gromp camp as Noguri and the Shy going at it. Half health at the moment. We have to remember that this is Noguri's Jace versus the Shy's Jace, probably two of the more famous Jace players in the world.
And in very Noguri style, he has gone the Kleptomancy. It is going to be range into melee matchup. He is going to be getting that bank, that gold. We've already talked about, you know, the possible mental warfare there, but I also like it because Akali is one of those champions. If she does get in range of you, can trade really heavily. And I think that you have to be very aware of the kill potential that the Shy brings to a lot of these matchups. matchups.
I certainly do. I'm going to be also interested to see, where Nuguri takes us as far as his build. Is this going to be more for lethality, grouping and poking alongside some of the other members? Is it going to be more purely for that 1v1 and see some early MR to help deal with this Gragas and Akali? Because I do think an early Hex Drinker is going to be massively effective when you are going up against this type of a comp.
And it is also one of those champions you want 40% cooldown reduction on, right? And lethality only gives you 10 and you go up by the 1, so I think that it'll make a lot of sense to go for that early game. But honestly, you kind of just don't want him to see the itemized defensively. You don't want to see an arm guard come out and then a Hex Drinker come out in a farm lane. You want the Gunblade, you want the Omus, and you want them to just run into each other a couple of times.
Yeah, you certainly do. And also, when you've got a squishy lineup like this, it'd be pretty good for Nuguri to be able to get some work done in the mid-game, and lethality is the best way to do that. If you keep their health bars low, they can't engage on you and murder you when you don't have the health bars to really back it up. Is Canyon going to be taking away this Rift Sculler towards the top side of the map? No gank to be happening just yet, and the gold is entirely even, despite Klepto advantage certainly being there for Damwon.
Yeah, things going pretty well for IG also here in the mid lane. Rookie was able to get off a base, and the TP is now used from Showmaker. So now this is kind of the window where I feel like you have to punish matchups like this. You don't have the combat summoner advantage. If you push him out of lane, he doesn't have that free TP to come back and actually recoup that gold. Canyon, though, on the top side looking for Shy here.
Yeah, Threaded Volley does come in. He's looking for it. Oh, the Shuriken backflip just in time. And the Shy is going to make it out with 100 health.
And I think Canyon could have killed him there if he flashed, although Rookie wants something.
Yeah. Showmaker underneath his turret, but he is going to make it there, and so Rookie just going to be able to play on Showmaker's ranged minions and deny a lot of farm.
And we were having a conversation last night, Azale, of like, how does Rookie build his advantages? And this is what he does. He steps past the minion wave and is willing to take these trades, and it is very difficult to deal with. As soon as Rookie knows where the jungler is, he plays like a maniac in the laning phase. You can see that the KO just isn't built to deal with that at this stage of the game.
Yeah, thankfully for Showmaker, though, he can at least see us from range with that Q, utilizing the E as well. And he is closing on level 6. But, as you were saying, in some of these situations, when the wave gets frozen against you, you really do have to call your jungler and allow him to come in, help push it out, reset the wave, because this is definitely a frustrating situation. But the downside of playing like this is you can expose yourself to ganks.
Well, Barrel's actually going to dive onto Jackie Love here. Not a lot of mana here for the Ezreal as Canyon going to make his way down. Another Steadfast presence. And just in the 2v2, it's going to be First Blood coming in for the Kai'Sa. Now Canyon going to turn up as it was evened out, but it ain't even anymore. A second kill for the Poppy.
And the experts were saying the big advantage right now for Damwon is in that jungle position. That is going to be Canyon outperforming Leon. He's had 2 successful ganks already, and Leon just looking to trade farm, but he's once again on a ward.
Yeah, Canyon getting behind them, able to help clean that up. That would have been a 2v2 victory for IG, but it was not a 2v2, and now IG pressuring Showmaker off. He's got to get out of there.
Yeah, that is a point-blank ultimate there from Rookie, but he's tanking up the turret. Canyon makes his way around and will save. His mid laner also takes a lot of health off Rookie there, as Leia misses everything, but Canyon does.
Baolan's coming, though.
Throws in the seismic shove as Baolan, looking for a dredge line. They have no vision, but Baolan misses the anchor crucially for Damwon fans.
And that's just a spider sense. That's just a good experience of being able to recognize that he hasn't shown back in that bottom lane. Really well navigated. It is going to be the 2 summoner spells burnt there in favor of Damwon in this early game, looking like they have control.
Yeah, certainly the case, but, thankfully, at least for Rookie, not only to get the turret play, after collecting this farm, he's going to be up a good 20+ CS, so, individually, looking strong there, but the question is always going to be with the Lucian, can you continue to extend that advantage, right? Because creating a 15-20 CS advantage and then sitting on it is not going to be enough. But now we do have this bot lane play one more time, and this is all about the engage to set up Canyon.
And I wonder if that was a misclick from Beryl, because he is running Aftershock, but he tackled a minion, so he wasn't able to proc it. So he was much squishier than you would necessarily think. Also had to use that W nice and early, but really, Canyon's pathing this game has been able to get him to these plays first. Despite the pushing power there of IG, they need to be very aware of how quickly Tillia does get around the map.
But it hasn't really equated into anything when it comes to the farm in favor of Damwon. Bottom side of the map, just a ridiculous lead for Jackie Love. And you can see, most money in the game.
And the thing is, normally being better than your opponent isn't a good strategy to win League of Legends. Because there's teamwork and vision control and all these other things. But then IG won a world title off it. So they're obviously very good at just being better than their opponents, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it does always feel tough as a jungler. When you're Canyon and your mid lane is counterpicked, your bot lane is just kind of naturally losing that 2v2, even though you just ganked them, it starts to feel like, well, where do you go? Where do you kind of plug the holes, and where should you spend your time?
Well, at the moment, they're spending some time around this mountain, Drake. Already down very, very low, and IG will secure that without any interference from Damwon. A great first dragon, and the second one will be a mountain as well, certainly setting up whoever picks up that next one for success around the Baron pit.
And the stuff of nightmares has happened. It's going to be Hex Drinker versus Armguard top lane. Like, what a miserable...
but I'm not surprised.
What a miserable time to be alive.
Well, it's not miserable for Nuggery. He's the only one with a CS advantage, which is what we'd expect from this matchup. So, of course, no surprises there as Rookie. Not actually going to win out on that particular trade until the R button's pressed, but Showmaker, just enough movement speed, just denies all of that excess damage.
And I do love the fact that Showmaker has also gone for that sustaining lane, because normally when Lucian does that to you, he always wins. He's going to have first access to the minion wave, but Showmaker, through the heal, through the auto attack, should also be able to collect a lot of that health back.
Yeah, certainly the case, but the problem is he's not actually getting access to minions. Auto attack, and here comes Shalia.
Yep, the wall's going to get set up, but Canyon just jumps over. Jackie already dead as the seismic shove gets him out of the dredge line, and another kill delivered with a bow to Nuclear.
What a gorgeous engage there by Damwon. Barrel flying in, setting up Canyon. That was perfectly timed.
And this is MVP Canyon finally showing up. This is why he was able to steal so many of those MVP points in the LCK, because he's had games like this. Yes, he's had games where he's fallen over, but sometimes he's just in exactly the right place at the right times all game.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think that we can see that they're trying to protect Leon a little bit as well. All of a sudden, Shy rotating out of his lane, trying to shadow Rookie, because they can see that wherever Canyon goes at the moment, good things are happening. And even though he's only got 3 kill participation, that should be all 4. That's 100% being involved with these kills so far. And as you mentioned, this is just decisiveness out of Damwon's bottom lane, the willingness to start a fight instantly.
Yeah, and so see, he's using the tackle on the minion to actually gain distance instead of knocking them away. Then flash, double knock up with the ult, Q for the slow. They pile in, using the ultimate proc the plasma for Nuclear, so he's able to fly in as well. Everything was perfectly orchestrated and coordinated there by Damwon.
And Balan missed the wall. I talk about nerves a lot on the world stage, but that is just a nervous play coming across. That's a pretty big wall to hit. It's not like he's aiming for something small, but just that minute gap meant that was the second kill coming across.
I've also got to point out Nuggery's build here. You know, I'm honestly got to say I'm a little bit perplexed. This is honestly almost feeling like a Triforce or something.
Manamune.
It's Manamune into
Cleaver.
Black Cleaver.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea behind that is with the W max second, as soon as you go into melee stance,
really
you pump out so much damage. And there's no way you can stop Akali getting on top of you, right? So you just have to be able to win those individual trades. I like the adaptation. However, it does have a little bit more of a trough, so he has to continue to grow this CS lead in the early game.
And what this tells me is that it's going to be about the split push. It's going to be about the side lane. You know, we have seen this build in the past, and most top laners moved away from it because it just didn't have that early game power. It was too much scaling, and Jace's power was very front-loaded. Some of the changes to Jace, though, did actually increase his AD late game, his scaling late game. So looking at it through that point of view kind of makes a bit more sense. And if you can get to that fully stacked, you know, Manamune, Miramana, you do become pretty damn difficult to deal with in those side lanes.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we've been very critical of Damwon's bottom lane.
Yes,
we've been saying Nuclear and Beryl, they haven't been able to step up. But Nuclear at the moment doing a very good job of just acting like bait. Just, taking a couple of the Ws that are coming across and going, come on, E on top of me. But this is a position that IG are pretty used to. The weak side bottom lane, while they do try and gain advantages on the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, we were critical of their 2v2, but this is a 3v2.
Best support in Canyon down towards the bottom side of the map. But Nuclear is also back on ultimate comfort here as well as the champion that he played as often as he possibly could in the LCK and also in the play-in stage as well. So, of course, the Kai'Sa is certainly something he can deal with as Nuggery lands an empowered Shock Blast. Shy just going to be farming things out here as he does close the gap. Finds the Shy a couple of times. Good trades there from the Jace.
Yeah, with that melee W, you should actually be revealing the Akali in the Shroud because you're dealing that AoE damage, kind of getting the Shadow. Something else that we didn't actually get a chance to touch on yet is how powerful Jace Kai'Sa is as a late game combo. One of the best ways to actually utilize Kayle is on a squishy diver, because what you can do is you can send your Kai'Sa into the backline, diving onto the Ezreal or the Lucian with the Kayle ultimate already on him. And then it creates so much chaos because, even at the early rank, that's 2 seconds of damage immunity. A Kai'Sa with a few items can kill you during that amount of time.
Yeah, we've already seen it so far at Worlds as well, and it was definitely devastating. So let's see whether Damwon can actually make it work as they navigate their way towards a late game. Over 1,000 gold is the lead for the Dam1 squad with their double kleptomancy certainly working out there as far as patching up some holes in maps, especially there in the mid lane, but we expect the KL to be behind. And the seismic shove didn't find Baolan there either. So Dam1 with control of this river towards the bottom side, thinking about evening out that Mountain Drake count with IG.
Ooh.
Wow, that's a lot of damage. Killer Instinct comes in for Nuclear. On the bottom side, one more auto, the flash in, the solo kill for Nuclear, bottom side of the map, and all the haters just got real confused.
He's styling on Jackie Love right now. No flash available for that play, and Nuclear just sees it and goes for it immediately.
Yeah, I just love that from him, the aggression as Leon trying to respond here, but Beryl is around.
Yeah, a whole lot of minions are here as well, as a steadfast presence will stop them from making their way out. Misses the ult completely though, and now Beryl's going to run away.
Yeah, so that was really prompted by the spotting of Baolan over by mid lane, and beautifully done. Now they're looking for a dive on Nuguri.
Looking for the dive in as Rookie just flashes away. All too easy. It's a solo kill. The Shy was there, but that's only moral support as Dam1 trade Nuguri's life for a Mountain Drake that wasn't stolen there by the big barrel of Leon.
And I think this is how IG are going to have to approach this game. The bottom lane right now, 0-3, is coming under continual pressure. They need to be able to open up that Rift Herald. Plates are now going to be down, but you can see that Dam1 just very comfortable continuing to camp Jackie Love.
Yep, and Nuclear took a lot of those plates off this turret as well as depth charge comes out onto Canyon. Meanwhile, Beryl has found Leon, or has Leon found Beryl is the question. He's extraordinarily tanky, but the culling, moves on out of the way. Divine Judgment, probably unnecessary, but better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, certainly the case there, and will get out scot-free. Does cost them a couple of summoners, but certainly not going to be any lives lost there from Dam1. But the problem here is Shy, after that kill from Rookie on Nuguri, is actually going to be able to take the turret. So, not really gaining much of an advantage with this chase.
And he's equalized the CS discrepancy as well, whilst Nuguri is going to pick some up. This is another look at that play, and look how much damage that isolated Akathian Rain takes. I think if that W registers, he probably doesn't even need to burn the flash there. That is just a straight-up outplay from Nuclear.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. I mean, that would have procced the passive, so he would have been dead to rights no matter what. Rookie, very easy solo kill from him here. He does flash away. I don't really know why Nuguri's spending his flash there.
On the bottom side, there is a fight, gentlemen. Flashes out there from Jackie Love, and Nuclear follows him, immediately gets that damage down, and the kills are picked up by the Poppy and the Jace. Now Baolan gets lit on fire as this Poppy is hunting him down. He'll have the heroic charge, but he really wants to give that kill to Showmaker, and Showmaker will pick that up on the Kale. 8-2 is the kill score, and the turret score is evened up by Dam1 bottom side.
Dam1 are just absolutely running over this game. When you look at the gold lead, it may not seem that big, but when we take the champions into consideration here, they are doing incredibly well. And here is IG trying to push for this turret, but they lose track of the Jace teleport. They lose track of the Fang that Nuguri is setting up here, and he just comes in from behind and absolutely lights up Leon.
And LWX, this is what patience looks like when you approach a team fight. Willing to count out the cooldowns, knows that there's no damage left, and Nuclear picks his moment so well.
It is a little bit dangerous to take pointers from Nuclear all the time. However, this game seems to be working out in that department. Jackie Love going to take up residency in this mid lane, as you generally do on the Ezreal. He's going to be building towards his Trinity Force as well, so no Iceborne Gauntlet is going to be the strongest 2-item spike you can get on this champion moving into the mid-game, and they're going to need it.
And it's the stage of the game we've all been waiting for. The 1-3-1 setup. This is when we are going to be able to see the skill of these solo laners. You can see that they're opting to match right now, and it is going to be the Shy with the completed Gunblade. Whilst he is 600 gold behind, I think that his 1v1 potential at this stage of the game is so incredibly high.
And it honestly feels like so much of the onus is going to be on the Shy, because I don't think that Rookie has enough of an advantage to actually dominate either of the solo laners whatsoever. You know, he's only 500-600 gold ahead of Showmaker. He's down gold, I believe, to Nuguri. So, you know, this Lucian is not necessarily going to be that big bully that they want right now. And I think a lot of the game will come down to those 2-item power spikes. When they complete the Essence Reaver on Rookie, when they have the Triforce on this Ezreal, what is IG going to be able to get done?
And it's going to get even scarier as well, because currently Nuguri has pretty much a variety bucket in there, but he's about to finish the Black Cleaver, going to have some more items coming in, and as soon as that Muramana transformation comes in, he'll be out of that trough and ready to smack people.
I think it's a transformation that we're really waiting on. If he had it now, he would feel very confident in the side lane. Potentially a Boots 2 pick up there as well. But I think that Nuguri hasn't really been a person to wait on spikes, to me, Atlas.
No,
we talk about this a lot, but he did have some moments where on Vladimir he waited for the death cap before teamfighting, but so far in this group stage, he does just seem to want to take some of these scrappy brawls, and we'll see whether he's...
Ooh. Another seismic shove. Canyon seems to be landing the majority of these.
Canyon's playing real good at the moment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he certainly has been impressing. And I honestly have to give a lot of credit to Beryl as well. His setups for these ganks have been great. And the Poppy, I think, you know, the question for me for the Poppy was more the laning phase than the teamfight phase. And he's already done incredibly well, you know, at that stage of the game. It's only going to get better for him.
Yeah, I absolutely love that it's Beryl as well, because he is the man that just doesn't pick for lane whatsoever. You saw they were down almost up to 30 CS in that lane. It's because Damwon just don't really care about their bottom lanes. They put all of their stock into making sure that Nuguri and Showmaker are going to crush there, and Nuclear and Beryl are going to stay alive. And if Canyon thinks there's a kill down towards the bottom side, he'll go and collect some paychecks.
But maybe this is the evolution and growth, and maybe the surprise tactic that you expect to see out of a world-class contender. People were saying that this down one lineup is good enough to contend, right? So they do throw that curveball in this game. They say, you know, IG are probably expecting us to go at the Shy and Rookie as well. Let's pick a little bit more scaling through the Kayle, and let's help out this bottom lane and try and build a big advantage.
Yeah, I think it's actually a really good point, because even if you only do it in this one game and then never go back to the bot lane for the rest of the group stage, in the back of your head, all your opponents now have to be, ooh, but what about that one IG game where Canyon was down there nonstop? And you have to now prepare for that and give the respect over to it. And that is certainly a hallmark of a great team.
And I just don't think Nuclear is going to be picking the Kai'Sa very much more in this tournament, because he's shown that it's night and day if he gets this champion compared to almost anything else. His Garen was something that was forgettable. His Yasuo barely got over the line. But the Kai'Sa just seems to be something that Damwon are very happy to put him on and then rely on him to just be there in the late game to do that DPS and click on some heads. Certainly what's worked out here is double Mountain Drake will come in for Damwon. And as we crest the 20-minute mark, that Baron's going to be so much easier for them, as the Weaver's Wall is going to get set up. IG are split now as Beryl flashes forward, finds the wall at the same time as the flick is going to land on a Rookie, but he stays alive for so long. The Shy dancing around the backline, and it's Beryl to go down. The Shy collects Canyon, and IG have come alive.
And IG had the items this time around, and they smashed Damwon. They will take the turret down, but that is just a miscalculation. That is Damwon starting up that fight, and they did not expect IG to be that strong.
Yeah, they certainly didn't. They're the ones going for the engage, as you call out, and the Shy showing up at the perfect timing, running over a lot of that fight. You can see Jackie Love as well. I do believe got the ultimate across multiple members, chunking them down, and IG just flexing their teamfight prowess.
And this is a fresh base from Jackie Love and the Shy, and you can see that's why they're cut off at the start of the fight. However, really good backline access from Baolan. CC's up multiple people. That creates the space and the timing for the Shy to just wreak havoc on the backline.
I mean, he was just AoEing them. I had to assume that was Nezreal. That was an Akali Q, just knocking off 20-30% of the HP of 3 members from Damwon. That was insane.
Oh.
Look at his damage.
Just ludicrous
Disgusting.
from the Shy. I feel like we're looking back at 2018 and everyone's forgetting what happened to IG in their playoffs, in their regional gauntlet, where they had to go the whole distance against every team. When it comes to international tournaments, this team is certainly one to never bet against.
Because the thing was, Atlas, is no one coming into last year's Worlds was like, yeah, give me that IG. You know, everyone was on the RNG, the KT hype train. But this was a team that you just look at the pieces and you're like, if they show up on the day, you know, they have the, you know, superstar top laner, the superstar mid laner, they have a streaky jungler at the point. And if they just all turn up at the same time, like, how do you beat this lineup? And I still think that whilst it's not the same level of that, on their day, these are still some of the best players individually in the world.
They definitely are, and it was an incredible team fight, but we can't get too far ahead of ourselves here, because I do still like Damwon's position, and if you offered this to them, they would take it 10 times out of 10.
Yep.
You know, sitting around even gold here with the Kai'Sa, the Kayle, these sorts of champions, as well as the team fight strength I think that you're going to be getting from this Poppy. You know, Showmaker is now level 12. He has the splash damage, you know, on his exalted attacks, and when you do have those 5 stacks, so he is getting more and more powerful. And when you hit 16, Kayle really does get that much stronger.
And this isn't a traditional LCK team. This isn't the team where they draw up the battle lines and it needs to be all perfect and set up. This isn't a game where you'll be like, oh, IG is getting scrappy team fights, they should win. Damwon loves scrappy team fights. They love to be able to take the 2v2, the 3v3, the skill checks. This is a new breed of the LCK players, and so far this game, they're looking very comfortable on Summoner's Rift.
Yep, they really are. 23 minutes into this game. looking like a bit of a K-Ram, as we call it back home. But I guess this is the...
That's a lie. You call it an A-Ram. I listen to your casts.
No, we started off calling it the Nayram, but then it happened too much. Like,
you got a little self-conscious about it. You're like, oh,
we claimed
God.
it at that stage. Yeah.
And this is what I say. Sometimes this is just the best way to play League of Legends. And I'm sure so many traditionalists out there are like, that is absolutely false. But if you send someone to the side lane, and Burrow just like charges you under the turret, you know, creates that fight, and they can take down a structure, then that's bad for you. So all of a sudden you have to be willing to match 5v5. It's not really until these kinds of resets come out that you can reset the map, and people do get stuck in an ARAM, maybe a little bit too long, but I think that sometimes you do have to value the ability to just balance your side lanes and be able to siege down that mid lane turret.
Yeah, definitely the case. And I mean, you also have to weigh the risks and rewards of splitting, right? If there's incredible engage coming out from the other team, if the collapse is too dangerous, which, you know, perhaps it is from things like the Gragas or even the Taliyah joining a side lane, then it does encourage teams to less sit in that side lane and more just push than group, right? And that is what we are seeing here. It was less the ARAM and more just kind of the push and pull style of getting those side lanes moving.
And at the moment, it feels like Damwon do have a little bit more of that flexibility. 3 teleports online for the squad, as Jackie Love's still yet to come off cooldown, and only the Shy with that available at this point. So that's why you saw Noguri towards the bottom side of the map, but now they're grouping up together, possibly trying to get the Shy's teleport out. This is a very fast Baron. There's a reason why I'm talking about it at this stage, because Damwon, as far as DPS is concerned, on a single target, it's insane how much damage they do in a very short space of time.
It certainly is, and you have to add the double Mountain Dragon to that, right? Which just makes it that much more threatening. Kayle also, especially with this new AP build that people are going for, your healing is significant, right? So you're not actually going to be getting too low while you're doing this. She can heal up 2 people at a time, and as he gets more and more CDR on this Kayle, that is going to become more and more problematic to deal with.
What I will say is the approach of the pit with an Ezreal, with the Nautilus, with the Gragas is also really good. So you have to be very thorough with your sweep. I didn't necessarily love the fact that Damwon came from the top side of the map. You normally want to go towards that Baron through mid, because we've seen too many teams try and bait out this objective and then ultimately seed mid lane pressure, maybe a mid lane turret. And with tier 1 still available for IG, I think that really is the most crucial turret in the game right now. Because if you can't push past neutral, it's very hard to have complete vision around that Baron area.
In fact, they have barely any vision at all. Can you see an IG ward on the map right now? There's one there in the mid lane, but that's about all of them that I can spot. So needed to go back for a bit of a reset, and you can see it is a couple of wards sitting in Baolan's back pocket, but IG pretty blind right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you have a look at the items, the Shy is full build. You know, he's got his Dorian's ring, he's got his stub. There's no room for the control wards that we like to talk about in that build.
Mana regen on the Akali spawn, you're entirely correct.
Absolutely. So how can you blame the guy for not picking up any control wards at this stage of the game?
Somewhere Deficio is very, very upset. The man to get the most annoyed at Doran's keeps when there are control wards to be picked up. However, IG still able to push up this mid lane, able to keep control. You can see the side lanes in a decent position for them as well. And one of the wards that they do have is certainly one that spotted out Noguri. Does get his flash out as well. And IG, they will take that as a win and move on out.
Yeah, certainly the case. I mean, Noguri, I feel like, should have known that they were coming over from the mid lane. Everyone kind of went off vision, and he really wanted to finish off that blue buff here. Has the Maw now complete. The Muramana transform is through. So Jace certainly looking very, very strong, and does open up an inventory spot for those pink wards with the Maw completion. That's all he was waiting for.
So proud of my boys right now. So proud of them. You can see 4 control wards in their back pockets. They know how to do a reset. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Damwon are even going to be able to secure their Crimson Bramble back, and they take that one, give it over to Nuclear. So set up for a fight right now, but it looks like Damwon, after that first fight, are a little bit spooked. They're not wanting to just dive on in. Leian had a fantastic cast to break them all up. They now understand that IG's teamfight is something to be feared.
It certainly is, and I think they also kind of have the luxury of knowing that they have an incredible late game. They are scaling very, very effectively here. So as long as you are not being denied your jungle camps, as long as you are getting that farm, they shouldn't be feeling pressured, but they're actually just going to start this up. They see Shy down on the bottom side. They at least want to get his teleport out. We'll see if they'll be able to.
He's going to deny it. That's just dead. All too easy and so fast. This is what we were talking about. If you have your eyes off that Baron for a couple of seconds, it is dead. That was basically a red buff it died in about the same speed.
And that's just decisiveness from the young Korean lineup. The ability to use a Weaver's Wall just changed the landscape of Summoner's Rift temporarily. And now we keep talking about the item spikes are there. That's why they're confident to go for that setup around Baron. And now the 1-3-1 should be very hard to deal with.
I mean, not only did they get the Baron, they also got the TP off Shy, right? So now they have TP advantage, and they have this massive neutral objective buff here. And with all the vision that they actually reset, they went out, they placed their pink wards, they realized there wasn't even any opposing vision to clear. IG had no wards in the area, so they just say, well, all right, well, let's just start it. And they were able to burn it down. And now Damwon is in an incredibly strong position.
It's like buying insurance, you know, you got to get those wards in there, make sure that you're never caught out of position. But sometimes it's a little bit frustrating. You know, you got health insurance, but you never get sick. You know, it's a bit annoying.
But you don't need it till you need it, Atlas.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the end of the, that's the bottom line with insurance.
Good advice.
Someone that used to work in the industry, make sure that you're picking it up. But I did like the way that Leon was trying to approach that fight. I always feel that in this situation, Gragas isn't that threatening.
Oh, caught out of position in the Shy. He's just rammed. Beryl clicks on him, and he's just dead. But Canyon got all of that work done. That's going to secure the outer turret in the mid lane, and Damwon are crashing down on IG. The shock blasts are hurting, and IG just look like they don't have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, their wave clear is pretty lacking at this point. You know, when you have Canyon moving up, zoning, and now they're just going to go in.
The heroic charge is Beryl. He's not going to be dying here either. The Divine Judgment's in as the Dredge line at least is able to pick him out of position, but Damwon still able to get the damage down. They relieve them of their jungler as Canyon goes golden, flashes immediately afterwards as now Showmaker to get the DPS in there, but they've got very low health bars as Balan eventually does fall. Jackie Love as well, down to a sliver, and he has to get out of there.
And it's just Damwon edging out these small victories. They all look very low health, but the things we were mentioning, the invulnerability, the heals, the ability to reset the team fights with those stopwatches, and now they will resume the siege.
Yep, 3 items on Nuclear. He's doing so much damage as Rookie gets a stray shock blast as well. Damwon will just move themselves back, but as you can see, the gold lead not exactly gigantic. 2.6k, nothing really to write home about, but Damwon's still in so much control.
Yeah, and then this is really just a beautiful setup here from Canyon. The Shy trying to wave clear this out, looks to try to sidestep that instead of, you know, blowing any sort of cooldown. Thought he could get out, was not able to. Beryl was there for the follow-up, and then no hesitation. As soon as Beryl sees an opening here, he was confident to go in.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have to sort of look back at the differences between these two teams as well, because Canyon has been really, really good. He picked up the MVP over in the LCK. Some of us thought that, you know, maybe that wasn't necessarily the best choice for the MVP, but it is what happened because he does have up and down performances. But Leyan hasn't been on this team for very long at all. He only played, you know, one game in their playoffs that they lost 0-3, and then in their run through the regional gauntlet, which was very, very close for IG. And it really is. The jungle difference is showing in this game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Atlas. And I think that, you know, whilst you have a look at Canyon's rocky performances, I would rather a jungler that does have high peaks and troughs. Just hold the thought.
Yeah, that's a big body slam into Nuclear. He may have just entered here as he goes golden, but they should be able to pick it up. The body slam in the middle of the animation is going to be there. It's a Shy. Backflips on top of Damwon. Executes Canyon. Now everyone's running away.
He's still going.
Can't get out. Another backflip forward as Nogari's going to get taken down solo. The last kick from Jackie Love, and Beryl takes the blast cone. The last man alive on Damwon's side.
You've all seen the Shy's Aatrox, but now you've seen his Akali. What an incredible fight there, as the world's best top laner pulls a rabbit out of the hat and keeps IG alive.
But the way this all started is the man that we were questioning. We said Leon has been outperformed, but he's able to get the start to that fight onto the Fed member in Nuclear. Without an 80 carry, you're not going to win these skirmishes, and their death chamber is so long at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and somehow it's IG that break open the base first. This mid inhibitor turret's going to go down. The inhibitor immediately to follow. And Damwon, if that wasn't a throw, that was a damn good effort.
I mean, this was just a, you know, also a great engage. You have to give some credit as Nuclear just gets wiped off the map, but certainly have to see that one again as he still has his flash available. So let's watch this one more time as Nuclear was the target here. He's forward and yeah, just straight into the body slam, ulted in, so I'm with you. Huge mistake there from him. perhaps overconfident in his positioning, and Showmaker unable to get the Kayle ult down on him either.
And look at the patience and the knowledge of cooldowns. You know, with that W up, you would feel very safe around the Poppy, but he's just able to get so much damage out. Lands the next E as well and dives onto the backline. That is just sensational play from the Shy.
I mean, he has been finding such incredible angles to maximize the AoE damage out of Akali, and you don't really think of Akali as this crazy AoE splash damage champion, but the Shy is making it work and just team fighting out of situations that they have no business winning.
He has a habit of redefining how champions work, and that certainly was another example of that.
I mean, IG in general, right? You want to look at the scaling, you want to kind of do the math on what are the chances, who wins what. These are not fights that IG is supposed to win, and Nuclear certainly giving them a hand, but
Barrel looking for the wall, will find Baolan, and he's just dead. No chance for the IG support to survive that one. Even Rookie wanted to get that Rift Skull.
Does it go?
He's going to get himself out of there. Attempt to, at least, as Nuclear says absolutely not. A great barrel into the backline, but the damage has already been done. And Leon couldn't do anything. The Baron now is potentially as an option as he body slams over the wall and then has to flash to get himself out of the way. Damwon, they're going to jump onto this Baron, and once again, we have to tell you, this goes down extraordinarily fast. As Beryl not going to find the Shy. The heroic charge is there as the Baron is going to be at least reverted at the moment. Beryl now in there. The teleport's going to come forward as now Showmaker looking for Jackie Love. They should be able to find in the Shy, down to half health. Not wanting to re-engage this time.
But is that going to be enough to stop the Baron? They will re-engage, but the health bars are so low right now, and Showmaker doesn't have ultimate.
He's level 16 though, he does so much damage, and the Baron is going to get taken down. Beryl with the steadfast presence going to deny the body slam as Leanne is going to have to go golden, but it's not going to be enough. The shutdown onto the Shy, and Damwon have found the Baron and found the fight as Baolan now just offering himself up as tribute is going to be able to make it out.
And he might have just saved the game because that was going to be such staggered death timing there. However, now being able to reset Beryl off the map, there is a creep wave to deal with as well in Damwon's base. But that was looking very dire for IG.
Yeah, it certainly was a critical kill there coming through from Baolan. And honestly, the initial team fight was so masterfully done by the Shy, dodging so many of these cooldowns and utilizing this three-man squad to really buy so much time and push Damwon back in this fight.
And I feel like we've mentioned the Shy a lot, and I do want to also pay so much credit to how Canyon was able to kite out the back end of that fight. And he is dishing out so much damage on this jungle Taliyah right now. His walls have been on point as well. This is certainly his best game at Worlds so far.
And you can see how much healing Kayle now has at this point with the Gunblade, with the W. Level 16 was hit off of one of those kills. He got the experience. So Showmaker well and truly online. They get the kills, they get the Baron, and Damwon, barring another major mistake, should have the tools they need to really put a stamp on this game.
Yeah, now level 17, Showmaker with 3 items completed, just looking for one more. We'll see what that's going to be. Doesn't have the Rage Blade just yet, as we'll see how much damage he's going to be able to get done in the next couple of fights. Kayle is just so ridiculous in the late game. Someone pushing out the mid lane for the moment. They have yet to break the base, so the super creeps in the mid lane going to be helping IG a lot. As Damwon now, with the Baron buff, will move over to the next neutral objective on the map. They set up the wall. The Elder Drake getting taken down extraordinarily quickly is going to be secured. It's by Nuclear of all people, and IG couldn't do anything about it as the group of 5, the death squad of Damwon looking for even more. The Dredge line going to come in. The ultimate's down. Canyon not going to be dying just yet. Actually has a flash over the wall as the heroic charge is in as Nuclear gets in with the Akathian Ray, but it's not enough to kill Baolan for the first moment, but he is eventually able to get there. IG now running away, only 4-man strong, and Damwon with 5 still alive and a whole slew of buffs to their name.
And just the burn damage is there at the end to take down Baolan, and now with both of the major buffs, teleport coming in, they want to try and push to end this one.
Yeah, and it's only about 20 seconds left on that Kayle ultimate. It's so short at this point in the game, so Damwon closing in here. They're going to shred through this first inhibitor. Will IG be able to wave clear this out?
Doesn't look like it. Baron buffed minions, very difficult to kill here for this squad as the Shy looking for another heroic attempt at saving this game. Damwon not wanting to risk it. They're just going to play by the book, take down the inhibitor, and move on out.
Yeah, it will just be that inhibitor. Kayle ultimate back up and available though, so if the angle is there, they can look for a fight. Nuclear will have his Kai'Sa ultimate pretty soon as well. We already saw that combo shown off to take down Rookie over by the blue buff prior to the last Baron take, and one more play like that could close the game.
Now this inner turret, is it going to be worth it for IG to defend? They've got 5 members back alive. Leanne is down to about half health as they're looking for it, but Rookie gets hit by the seismic shove, and now Beryl sets up as the helicopter in the backline. Canyon survives on next to nothing, but the Shy is able to execute him, diving on back in. The AoE damage is gigantic, but meanwhile, on the backline, it is going to be Damwon able to get the work done. A double kill for Nogri as Leanne's going to get the ace completed for Damwon, and this should be the game.
Yeah, that should be it. You can see there's still 3 members left alive. Creep wave in the bottom lane. They're going to push in, and that looked like the Shy had maybe saved the fight, but you can just see how strong Nuclear is.
And we saw so much of what we wanted from this game. In the end, it was Damwon able to reign supreme, but the Shy almost able to clutch things out. Feels like late game is going to be what we're looking at throughout at least the beginning of this group stage as the Nexus goes down and Damwon will be able to take down IG, the 2018 champions.
And they tie them at the top of the table in their group now, really silencing a lot of the doubters after that early loss to Team Liquid. People questioning how good was Damwon, and they certainly showed up here today, but you have to say it's another kind of earlier game-focused comp falling down to the wayside. We have not seen the Lucians been picking up these wins.
Yeah, we certainly haven't, but if you told me there was going to be 35 kills in 37 minutes on an LPL versus LCK game, and then you told me LCK won, I would be like, what is going on right now? Such a bloody affair between these two teams. Certainly Damwon willing to play their style, willing to continue to take these skill check matchups, and they just took out a world champion.
They did. This was also a Damwon that was playing with a lot more patience. They were a lot more reserved. Canyon had an extraordinary performance here today, but it wasn't that lax play that we saw the first time we saw Damwon gaming. This was more like the controlled play that we saw out of the AHQ series, which was definitely a Damwon playing with a lot more discipline.